What is going on, guys? Today's live stream podcast is going to talk about why you're not generating the right leads for your business and how to fix this issue. A lot of folks come to me and ask me, listen, you seem like the funnel guy. Why am I not generating leads? How can I generate better leads? I've tried everything in the book, can't seem to figure it out. And I see certain problems when people come to me with this issue. Okay. And I'm going to share with you a few of these issues and, raise your hand if this sounds like you. One of the, and you may be afraid to admit this, and I get this because I was afraid to admit a lot of the things that I didn't know about business early on. And when I started to get a little momentum, even still, I always tried to position myself like I knew everything. And you know what? I still don't know everything inside of business, and I'm constantly learning. And the good news is when you allow that and you're not afraid to say, listen, I don't know. This is why I'm reaching out. This is why I'm seeking the information, from someone like you. Life and business get a little easier. So one of the big problems that I see when people come and say, I'm not generating the right leads, or I just don't know how to generate the right lead, is a lot of business owners they look at leads as not people. Like, I think when they think lead in their head, like the first thing that comes to mind is like a dollar sign. And that's a big problem because leads are people. And we need to start thinking of leads as people that need our help. Okay? What if you saw, here's a loaded question, but say you saw an elderly woman struggling, trying to cross the street in a heavy trafficked area. Would you just let her try to figure it out and let her struggle across the road? Or would you go out and try to direct traffic and try to slow people down, or maybe lock arms with her and help her across the road? I'm hoping that you would do the latter. And it's the same thing when we're thinking about lead generation. Is think of that old lady that's trying to cross the road, or the old gentleman that's trying to cross the road. Are you going to go out there and help them, or are you going to let them struggle? So, and not expect anything in return, right? Just get them over to the other side of the road safely and get on with your day, right? It's the same thought process when we're thinking of leads. And the problem is not a lot of people think that way. Right away, they think of a lead as a potential sale, and they're not people in their heads. And that's a big problem. So one problem that we need to address, and we will address this later on. Second problem I see is people aren't understanding the wants and needs of their customers. And that's why they can't generate a qualified lead. It all comes down to really understanding your customer better than they understand themselves. And that's not the sexy part of business. One of the things that really impressed me about Steve Madden, the shoe guy, the guy that created Steve Madden shoes, is at 58 years old, this guy is still hitting the pavement, literally in New York City, walking into shoe stores and talking to customers. They have no idea who he is, talking to customers or taking pictures of women's shoes. He's like, I know some people may think I'm a creep now, but when I was younger, I was able to get away with it. But he's still out there literally tapping people on the shoulder going, why'd you buy those shoes? Like, that's impressive, right? This guy knows the importance of understanding his customers' wants and needs and the values and decisions. We'll get into that in a second, of why they buy what they buy. So not understanding the wants and needs of your customers is another reason why you're not generating a great lead. Most business owners don't take the time to pay attention to their customer's journey, meaning what is happening in this person's life that's making them want your product or service, right? I'll get into this in more detail in a second, so stay with me. The other thing is you're just not using the right bait or hooks to grab your people's attention. And that's it's like trying to fish for shark, right? With lettuce. I'm being facetious here, but you get what I'm saying. Okay? Last but not least is you just don't have an easy way to capture a lead. Meaning you don't have a funnel in place, you're not using the right resources, and it's very difficult for a customer to engage with you online. And it's 2020, guys. There are so many ways to easily grab somebody's name, email, phone number, any sort of information you'd like to get them into your world, to get them to start thinking about your business and start to become top of mind in their world, right? So we need to start to think about what can we plug into our business online to help us generate more leads online, because let's face it, guys, COVID really gave us that huge push to go digital. So if we don't have funnels, if we don't have the right lead generation tools in our business, it's going to be very difficult to get people into our world. And there's no excuse for it these days. There's no excuse for it these days because of the tech that's out there. All right. So I want to break down for you in today's episode the customer's journey. And I have a bunch of questions for you that I want you to write down, or if you want to rewatch this or re-listen to it later, these are the questions that I really want you to take some time to answer. Because when you start to think about these things are going to pop into your head that I can guarantee you're not thinking about right now. Because if you were thinking about them, you wouldn't have a lead generation problem. Okay. So the first question when we talk about customer journey is, what has happened in this potential customer's life that is making them want to seek out your product or service? Okay, this could be anything, right? I'll give you a quick example. I was talking to a Brain Accelerator client yesterday, okay? And when I went and did a quick audit of their website, they kept talking about boring brands, right? I don't know about you guys, but my business is my baby, right? Am I ever going to call it boring? Probably not. It's like calling your kid ugly. Whether your kid's ugly or not, you're never going to admit it. And there's something wrong with you if you think your baby's ugly. People aren't going to resonate with that message. They're not. So why have that all over your website as sort of a tease to the visitors? Nobody's going to resonate with that because nobody wants to admit that their business is boring. The question that I would ask is this: why are you reaching out? Are you generating the right lead for your business? Are you proud of the customers that you are attracting into your business? Now, if the answer is no, now we have something to work on and a rabbit hole to dive into, right? Talking about boring brands, or is your business boring, or the reason why your business isn't working is because it's boring. Like, nobody's going to resonate with that because nobody wants to admit it. And they won't see it. They just won't see it. So again, what is the compelling event that happened in your potential customer's life that has them thinking? Maybe a customer jumped ship and went to a competitor. What if their competitor is just out there crushing it day in and day out, taking snapshots of their sales and revenue for the week, and you're nowhere near that? Now there's some fire lit under that person's ass, and they're going to be out there searching for something, and you may have the answer, right? So let's start thinking about the compelling events that could be happening in your customer's life that you could start addressing online with your content. Okay. The next question is, how are they finding you? When people come in for introductory consults to me, the first question I ask is, how'd you find me? It's usually a Google search. It's usually on Instagram. It could be word of mouth. Very rarely though, but Instagram and Google search, specifically in the ClickFunnels world, it's how people are finding me. So you'll see me talking about ClickFunnels a lot. You'll see me talking about funnels a lot. You'll see me on Instagram every single day, at least twice a day. I know that data now. I know that information. Now I'm going to triple and quadruple down on it, right? So what are some ways that your customers could find you online? Let's start thinking about that. Did they bump into you in a Facebook group? Did they bump into you in a LinkedIn group? Right? Or on a live stream. Right? I see a lot of people interacting and engaging on live streams. That's how people meet each other these days. Right? So how'd they find you? The next question is, what made them reach out to you in the first place? Right? That's another question that I ask my introductory consults is, what made you reach out today? And they just let it rip. Right? And I have my notepad here and I'm constantly taking notes. I had a guy in Massachusetts say to me the other day, I'm done taking cat photos on Instagram. I have 20 years experience and I don't have a brand that people can connect to. I don't have anything that makes me stand out online. So I'm just another bobblehead. That's a great reason to reach out and consider branding, right? And investing in your business to build something that is going to differentiate you from someone else. So what made them engage? Is there a piece of content that you put out that resonated, right? I've had people say, man, you did I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day and you said something and it just rang my bell. And then they go into what I said. And then I'm taking mental note of that because that message resonated. So we're going to talk more about that, aren't we? Hence why my past 2 podcasts and live streams have been all about lead gen. Why? Because I'm getting a lot of inquiry about lead gen. So I'm just meeting my customers where they need me to meet them. All right. See, I was telling the person that I gave a consult to yesterday is, you got to meet your customers where they're at and get into the conversation that they're already having in their head. This was an old Gene Schwartz copywriting trick that he taught way back in the day. But what you think is cool may not resonate with your audience. So the everything is literally all the ideas and all the things that need to be done are literally sitting underneath your nose. You just have to look for them, right? And find the opportunity. And that's how you do this, is by listening to your customers online and watching them online, right? Okay, so now that we know what made them engage and actually reach out to you, what keeps them coming back? What makes them share your content with somebody else? What makes them tell a friend or a colleague, Henry's your guy, or, Julie's your guy or gal, I should say, right? For XYZ solution. So what makes them keep coming back? And then last but not least, I think this is one of the most important questions to ask is, what are the values and beliefs behind their decision making? Right? I'm just going to go right out there and say this one because this one is the most obvious. But I live in New Jersey, And it is like the capital of keeping up with the Joneses. And there's a lot of folks that I watch. And listen, I was one of those guys, so I'm not pointing fingers. Back in my earlier days, I needed to have the car and the watch and I needed to have all the stuff and the loafers. My cousins still make fun of my shoes to this day. I happen to like shoes, but not as much as I used to, right? But I had to have all that stuff because I had to keep up with the next man and the next person, right? And show everybody how successful I was, right? I'm over that now. But I know in this area, a lot of people want to keep up with the Joneses. So I'm going to play with that, right? In my marketing, right? And have some fun with it because I know it's a trigger. I know it's a trigger, right? On the flip side, other people may value communication. People want a lot of touch points. They want to have the full transparency of a project. They want to know milestones. They want to know what to expect in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. So if you know that that's a value that they have high on their list and they base their buying decisions off of clear communication and transparency, what do? You take them behind the scenes, put out content that shows you working on a project. I'm working with a company right now in New York City in the construction space. And I told them, guess who was doing this in the 80s? Bob Vila and Norm Abrams. Some of you guys probably don't even know who those two people are, but they had Bob Vila had this show on TV called This Old House, and it was brilliant. It basically, he showcased projects that he was working on, and he had Norm as his sidekick, and they filmed the whole process from beginning to end, and they ran into problems and they resolved them, and they ran into more problems and they solved them, and the whole thing was brought on video. Now with the internet, it makes things so much easy. Now with the cell phone, you can literally create a This Old House series, behind the scenes series with your phone and put it online. And now you're attracting the customer that values full transparency and clear communication. Hope this is making sense to you guys, because this is the meat and potatoes that are really going to help you generate a great lead. All right. And it all comes down to understanding who your customers are. If you don't know them, then that's why you can't generate a lead. All right. People that know their customers better than they know themselves don't have lead generation problems. They don't. So it's worth the effort. It's worth the investment. It's worth working with somebody that can help you, bring you through this process, so you walk away with a crystal clear understanding of who it is that you're working for and want to work with. Everything gets easier. What you say, what you do gets much more refined and concrete. When you're struggling with generating leads, it's because you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. You don't know how to hook them. You don't know how to bait them. And I hate to use those words because these people are people, remember, but it's just an easy way for me to explain it. Okay, so let's imagine for a second if you knew your clients better than they knew themselves. What do you think is going to happen? Imagine if you started to use the right bait and hooks in your content to capture attention and bring them into your world, funnel them into your world and get them to know, like, trust, and get them to start buying your products or service. What's that going to do to your bottom line? Okay. What would your business look like 90 days from now, 60 days from now, or if you're aggressive like me, 30 days from now? If your clients and your customers started chasing you down and started asking you, how much do you cost? What's the process look like? How can we get started? How long is it? Right. And people started chasing after you instead of you trying to chase after them all day long on social media. What do you think your business would look like then? Right? So here's my question for you guys, or I should say my call to action is, before you put out another piece of content online, ask yourself, do I know my customer as well as I should? And if the answer's no, then there is a ton of work we need to do, because this is how businesses hemorrhage cash flow. This is how businesses dry up their wells of finance and go out of business. It's because they don't know how to connect with their ideal customer. So I hope this was valuable. I hope this was helpful. Again, this will be on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. So I encourage you to drop questions down below. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, you guys know how to get me on Instagram at @thebrandDR. Drop me a DM if you have questions. I'm always responsive and I'm always going to respond. Believe me. And it's me. And if it's not me, it's my assistant, and she always addresses herself as my assistant before she responds. So you know who you're talking to. So I'm getting to the point in my Instagram where it's getting a little too much to handle on my own. So I'm getting some help on the weekends and stuff. So I'm just saying, I want you guys to reach out, because this is a topic that we can't brush underneath the rug. If you don't have solid leads coming in your business, if you don't know how to communicate with your audience, if you don't know the right baits and hooks and different things that you can offer people up front in exchange for a name, an email, a phone number, then you're going to have a serious problem sustaining this business or even growing it. So take this episode seriously, guys, and play it back 2 or 3 times. Rewatch it if you have to. There's a lot of stuff that I dropped in here that I know will help you if you pursue it. Have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care.